You all, I'm going to turn it over to Matt Eisenberg and John Blair, probably John's first, to tee up putting the trust in trusted exchange.
So Marianne, you want them to herd everybody back in here first, or should I just kick it off? Okay.
Ding, 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 ding.
All right, so Dr. Eisenberg and I were asked to pinch hit for this little brief moment for Steve Posnick, who was supposed to be here. So we were asked to do this a couple of weeks ago because he chairs, like vice chair of the governance council for TEFCA, so we got picked. And so I thought, well, let's do an Abbott and Costello skit, because I thought that, who's on first, what's on second seems appropriate, right?
I was going to go Colin Jost and Michael Che, but okay.
But he told me I've got to be Ab, and I said, forget it. So anyway, so I just want to make a couple of remarks because Matt is going to go through some history, make a couple of statements about TEFCA today, but I do want to just say a couple of things. I came in on this, a little under 2 years ago. It started, and we started with, a lot of enthusiasm, and I've learned some lessons over the last couple of years, but there's some things that I hear that I think are worth remarking about. One is I hear that comments about how slow TEFCA is taking off and how it's just a fraction of care quality. And, just to put in perspective, you've got about, if you take care quality, Commonwealth, eHealth Exchange, and all those endpoints in all the market, only about 20% of that is up on TEFCA. I mean, Epic's been working hard on it. Athena just blew it away and got everything up in a quarter. I don't know how they did that. ECW is coming on strong. Anyway, several of the major vendors are going to be coming on. They've got it mapped out for the next year, but if you look at the percentage of care quality to TEFCA, it's almost identical, straight line, to the install base that's moved over. So I don't make anything of the fact that it is much less than care quality today. It's because the market hasn't done all the work on the, migrations. I don't think it's any more than that. Another thing that I hear a lot about, and we're frustrated with it too, is individual access service. That was one that opened up at the very front of things, just like treatment did. And, we were really enthusiastic. We had a couple of companies in the first quarter that signed up with us, and we started to implement. We have several now undergoing it. But, I probably knew better than this, having been through direct secure messaging a decade plus before. And it took a couple of years for this stuff to work out the kinks. Same story with Commonwealth, same story with eHealth Exchange, same story with the care quality implementers. And, I fell for it too. And realistically, you can be following the most mature standards, great implementation guides, really rigorous conformance testing, even connect-a-thons. And you get ready to roll that kind of thing out on a national scale, on a network of networks, and there's going to be 100 new problems. And we were thinking about this will be, similar to treatment and take right off. It's a variation on the theme. And we're just going through all of that. And we have been heads down day after day after day for the last couple of years, working out all of those 100 problems. And, this last quarter, we're seeing many less tickets. It's not one every day anymore, maybe one a week, and it's slowing down. And I can say this last quarter, we've seen the responses for the couple of companies that are coming on with us triple. So it's starting to happen. Doesn't get us past the problem we've got with responding and the matching issues and things, but there's some dedicated, smart people working on that, and I think that that'll get hammered out. But again, I'm not surprised at some of the slowness of some of these things. And for people that have experience with this, I think we're doing well. I started bullish on TEFCA, still bullish. One other thing that I think deserves, is valid, and I think maybe a mistake might have been made there, which is in 2024, Matt, you and I remember going through a few governance meetings, right? I mean, we really dealt with a lot to try to stand up governance. A lot of people were put in, untold hours trying to get this done. Dealt with some trust issues that surfaced nationally that brought us not to a halt, but had to be considered to make sure that some of that didn't happen again, and we dealt with it. So, the trade-off was made to kind of hunker down, pull in the resources, and that dropped, I think, transparency, and a lot of outside voices that would have a lot to say and a lot to add were probably not part of it. And that was done to make things expeditious and move things. But I think that criticism is valid. I think, though, one thing I'll say about the RCE is they're honest, straight shooters that listen. And even when criticized, don't come up with a bunch of excuses. They take stock and they try to figure out how to address it, and they did. And maybe not perfect, but now the people that were complaining about being excluded, I'm sure can't say that today because they're welcome in. They've created several mechanisms to get outside voices in. I attend one of the work groups on treatment, and it's actually a much better conversation. We'll probably do better with that, but I think that's what happened. But I think what's more important is it was taken seriously, it was addressed, and I think fixed. So I do want to thank the RCE. You got a bunch of people that are very well-meaning, that work their heads off. I also want to thank ASTP. They've come back in on this. They're focused. They're going to push this through. And I also want to make a comment about CMS. Even though they're not directly involved with TEFCA, like ASTP, with Sequoia like ASTP, with what CMS is doing, and you heard a little bit about it this morning, and I have no idea how, I don't know Amy Gleason well, but I watched a little bit. I have no idea. You talk about herding cats and what she's doing, I think very effectively. What's going to happen with this, and it's great to have CMS's interest and involvement, it's going to help move the needle. It's not doing what's going to be done on a wide scale nationally, but it will help inform and maybe change some direction and improve the direction of where we're going. So all of that is, I think, great. And I've recognized a lot of the faces here. I've worked with some of you very hard. And actually, I'd like a little hand of applause for the people that are volunteers that have worked their heads off. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our resident historian to give a little walk down memory lane on TEFCA, and then a couple of comments about the State of the Union.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, John, always a pleasure. So John and I have the privilege of getting to work with Zoe Barber and Catherine Lucia. Raise your hand. They're the brains behind the operation. They helped us put the content together, and we would be useless without them. I have 5 minutes, I have 400 slides, good luck. So, so first and foremost, this was supposed to be Steve Posnack's presentation, as I understand it. And so with respect to and homage to Lloyd Benson, I've worked with Steve Posnack. I kind of sort of know Steve Posnack. I'm no Steve Posnack. But anyway, let's give it a go. Okay, so Rob Klotwick in the back. Trusted exchange, framework, and common agreement. But without trust, it's just TEFCA. Rob said it, you'll hear it over and over again, and all we talk about today is trust, but I don't trust any of you in the room, so let's go. Okay, I'm going to talk about the long journey into TEFCA. I'm going to talk mostly about governance. John and I were privileged to be part of the Transitional Governing Council. We'll talk about what that was, and now we help lead the actual Governing Council for the framework. Without trust, it's just TEFCA. Thank you, Rob. What's up? SOPs, that's my favorite. We're going to talk about SOPs and know the difference between TEFCA and Anna-TEFCA, which is a fictional Ukrainian shtetl in Fiddler on the Roof. Okay, it all starts right at, I got to get my notes. It all starts with the Cures Act. When was the Cures Act published? Anybody remember? When was it going to go into law? December 2016. Who signed it? Obama. So everything started then, right? There was nothing before that. Right? We didn't do anything until 2016. I know that's not true because I've worked with a lot of you people for a long time, and I can't get my notes, so I'll figure it out. But, so here's just TEFCA, okay? 2016, there's the vote, by the way. So it was 94-5 in the Senate, one person didn't vote, 392-26 in the House. And actually, if you actually go back, the bottom buzz is actually Don Rucker's first post about TEFCA and the responsibility of taking the law and moving it into regulations. Then the first draft came out in 2018, second draft in 2019, kind of went over like a lead balloon, the first draft. The Sequoia project got the RCE contract in 2019. Final TEFCA documents, January 22. Common Agreement 2.0, January 23. And then designation. We were live December of 2023. Who was there? I was there. It was very exciting. I'll show you some photos. Common Agreement 2.1. Then we've got the TEFCA Final Rule, HTI 1 came out, TEFCA governance, and so on. But did it start in 2016? Absolutely not. First, there was a nationwide health information network. Oh, by the way, eHealth Exchange met yesterday, and that was started by ONC. Before it was ASTPunk, the worst acronym ever, right? ASTP. We have Mickey to thank for ASTP-ONC, ASTPunk. Okay, so, and then, so NHIN, I was there in 2008 on the virtual lifetime electronic health record, and then Healthy Way, before it was Sequoia Project, 2012, took over for the eHealth Exchange. 2014, I was at HIMSS, we talked about a network of networks, care equality, okay? And then 2016 comes this, TEFCA. It's been a long, long journey. Here's the RCE, a big thank you. John said it. There's a great team, a lot of smiling people. And here are the first 5, and now we are 11. How many will we have? I have no idea. We've talked about this, but these are the first 5. There's John's smiling, happy face. John, could you be any happier in that photo? And Marianne was interviewing. So Kanza, Laura, Jay from eHealth Exchange, Dave Castle at the time for Health Gorilla, John from MedAllies, and Rob Klotwick from Epic Nexus. Okay? Happy faces. So first, the transitional council, we had to sort of govern this thing, and we had really one task. Figure out how to build governance that would last. By the way, I have 1 minute left, so good luck. Apologies to the next panel. So this was the original transitional council. I have 5 minutes, thank you, God bless you. So this has been compared, this is the SOP on governance for TEFCA, compared to the Magna Carta, the US Constitution. It's an incredible document. I'm just kidding. It's actually crap. But anyway, we did our best we could to set this whole thing up and move forward. And I love this cartoon. The entire parliament fell silent. For the first time since anyone could remember, one of the members voted aye. Okay. So there's the governance. Governance got set up. It's run by ASTP, supported by the RCE. We now have a permanent governing council. We were the last of the actual new governing bodies to be formed. The form dates are there. The CISO council's there. And then we're supposed to be responsible, representing all of the participants, sub-participants, and all of their agents, and try to move things forward. We knew this governance had to change with the framework. More QHINs, more participants, more sub-participants, more use cases, more opportunities. So we tried to build it so it would scale. If you're on the QHIN caucus, which was formed, please stand up. Stay there. Okay, role of the QHIN caucus, you can read it later. Stay there. If you're on the participant, sub-participant caucus, please stand up. Fantastic. You can read these later. If you're on the governing council, stand up. Thank you all. These guys get paid a ton of money to do this work. Just kidding. They get paid nothing. Thank you. Round of applause. Okay, what's up? All the SOPs are on the site. And they're changing, and the job I want to tell you about, I have a couple things about how we've built these SOPs to build trust. So this is the XP bingo. Everybody's familiar with permitted purposes bingo, XP bingo. So there is a wonderful SOP about what are the permitted purposes under TEFCA. I pointed out the two that are the required responses, and there are no permitted fees currently, TEFCA treatment and individual access services, but there's more, and they'll grow, and they'll build over time, and it has to scale. But by putting these together and then building in specifically initially to build trust around treatment, there was a treatment SOP that defined it, gave some rules around treatment, treatment for TEFCA. And those are the details. You can read it at, for bathroom reading. And then we built a vetting process, because you cannot have trust if you don't know who you're exchanging with and why you're exchanging with them. What's the permitted purpose? So all new participants and sub-participants get vetted. I call it the Eddie Vedder vetting process, right? But that's what I call it, Eddie Vedder vetting process. I forget, what was his band? Pearl Jam, the Pearl Jam vetting process. There you go, that's much better. The amendments are changing. We're working on them, and in fact, I'll mention two that have been approved, and the QTF, the new QTF version is out, approved, and supported by this governance structure. There's a process about how to do that. And with homage to Mark Twain, reports of TEFCA's death is an exaggeration. As John said, we are growing. We're growing at scale. You saw the map earlier by Dr. Keene. You can go on here, plug in your endpoints, and see where TEFCA is today, and it continues to grow. So we also are bringing in subject matter experts from outside of the governance body for the two new work groups. Many of you may be participating in those. Those work streams are on treatment and individual access services. Governance in action. Government Benefits Determination SOP 2.0 passed, and we hope to expand exchange with the Social Security Administration for government benefits through TEFCA rapidly. I've been doing this since 2014. We do about 800 a month. I don't know why everybody's not doing this. It's win, win, win for everybody. The people who need the insurance, the SSA, the healthcare providers who are providing that care, their medical records group, just should happen. And we now have the SOP to do it. I mentioned the QTF, and what was the other one, Zoe? Exchange purposes. So XP Bingo continues to improve. You can follow it on the website. So the drafts are there. There's comment period. You can participate. And if you're not signed up for the monthly all participant updates from the RCE, just sign up. They're fantastic. The group is great. There's also the FIRE roadmap. We talked about the FIRE roadmap, and Dr. Keene already mentioned HTI 4. We're starting to look ahead. How do we get payers involved? How do we move towards APIs, particularly APIs that are supported through 0057F? Lots of work to do. So I'll finish. I think I'm done. 10 reasons to get involved with TEFCA. You can't have too many networks, seen networks law. I just want to get electronic records from that solo practice down the road. Who doesn't want a single on-ramp to interoperability? Maybe I might be able to get to that HCA hospital down the street and get those records. That would be a blessing. In government, we trust, I hope. I believe in individual access, got records. I've always wanted to use the phrase, what's up? Payers will have to get involved at some point, and I want to be in the room where it happens. I want to be in the room where it happens. Someday, maybe, I'm going to have to join to get money from Medicare. Someday. And finally, that cures what ails you. And of course, just ask Rob, without trust, it's just TEFCA. That's it. I think I'm done.